All right. Hey guys, it's Addis and I'm back. And I got a little dressed up today. You know, because I'm back on my channel and I'm excited to be here. And I'm excited to tell you I'm now the owner of Living Fantasy, so check that out. And I wanted to share how I'm so sunshine and positive right now because I have found the light in spite of the darkness. I have learned what I needed to learn in my hero's journey of this pandemic. And I hope that these things help you too, and maybe it'll help you see the silver lining. So without further ado, here are the 5 things that I learned from the social isolation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 1, my number 1 lesson was FOMO is worse than the actual MO, So basically, FOMO, of course, stands for fear of missing out, as, is colloquially used by young folks to mean the feeling you get when your friends go out or other people go out and you see them all on Instagram and stories and Snapchatting and whatever on TikTok and you can't go because you have another obligation or limitation and you for some reason you just can't make it. Yeah, so I realized the fear of not doing that thing was actually worse than not doing that thing. Let me explain. First of all, let's start with, and I'm not gonna name names, but I still knew people that beginning of pandemic, just starting out, were still partying, bar hopping, living it up. They're not being safe for themselves or others. So that was a little frustrating. But as the pandemic went on, my closest friends and I, we stayed home and we supported each other all throughout. So we would text each other, check on how we're feeling, how we're doing, and support each other saying, good girl, stay safe, stay home, stay cozy. I was actually complimented for not going out. The world had turned inside out. And since you guys know this, I'm an actual introvert. So suddenly, naturally wanting to be home alone, isolated was a good thing. I was so happy. No longer did I have to come to work on Monday and try to compete for the best anecdote when that question was asked, how was your weekend? And everybody always has stories. Now, at that moment in the pandemic, I was seeing less and less posts about Sunday fun day, brunches. It was like a resounding weight off of my shoulders and such a relief that I didn't have to feel that pressure of having to plan every weekend. Also, my mental health actually improved by staying home. I was suddenly calmer, happier, not needing to be validated by other people. I spent more time with my husband and my dog, and that really grounded me. I felt grounded is what I mean. So actually, social isolation turned out to be one of the best things for me as far as I got to feel calmer and more fulfilled. It was the fear of not having anything to do that weekend and not having cool stories to tell that was actually worse than missing out. The second thing I learned was that my mind craved and actually enjoyed free time, that I needed this time for myself, you guys. The times that I found myself the most creative, energetic, fulfilled, and productive was actually during this social isolation period. I even wrote a song that wasn't half bad, if I do say so myself. And I stained a piece of furniture, which you can see right behind me, right over here. I would have never done that before, but it didn't turn out half bad. I made it a shade darker to match my dining room. So I just felt so much more productive and energetic having all this extra free time, which normally as an adult is a bad thing because it either means you forgot to do something, like you probably need to go back to work or do the laundry or clean the dishes or something, or B, no one wants to hang out with you. So you think you have free time because you're a freak, like you've been socially banished forever, right? But now, during this time, there was an excuse, a real reason that was not personal at all. It was just a pandemic. That's how things were. You just had extra time. So I wasn't a banished loner. So I learned to not judge my free time, but not only did I not judge myself for having free time, I enjoyed it. I made things, I constructed, I opened up my own business. I mean, this gave me the freedom, this social isolation of me time. The third thing I learned was that I did not detest sports as much as I thought. I just hadn't found the right one. So for some reason, one night I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw an ad that popped out at me, and it was a late night, almost midnight impulse buy, and I got an aerial yoga set. I had no idea what I was getting into, you guys. Like, I'd never even heard of it. I thought it was regular yoga with like some fancy new stretches. And I typically also hate yoga. So I don't know what made me buy this. But hey, I loved it, okay? It ended up being worth gold. Maybe it was just pure boredom that made me want to buy this large purchase. But once I got it, I committed to it. I followed instructional videos on YouTube. I found some of the best instructors that I still talk to this day online. I did everything from home. I mean, my husband obviously helped me set it up, but I taught myself through watching amazing instructors through video. And I also found their routines like challenging enough to be interesting, but not enough to dissuade me. So it was just that right amount of like challenge accepted that drove me to this passion. I moved up from aerial yoga to aerial sling, and I had my in-laws help me hang my first sling. I got into just aerial acrobatics just like that. It opened up a whole new side of me I didn't even know I had. Okay? So just being creative with my body through aerial dance, it not only gave me the best workout of my life, because it takes strength, you guys, to do those poses and hold. It also gave me this adrenaline rush that I didn't know I wanted. It's almost like getting a motorcycle, but not. And I would normally get this rush from like zip lining or vacation or whatever, but just doing 20 minutes of aerial sling a day actually gives me that rush, and it's right in my backyard. I mean, I don't have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for it. I just use it whenever I want. And it cheers me up. Like, it actually calms my anxiety down. And it gives me this like relaxation that I can actually get started with my day and go right to work. I feel so blessed to have discovered this during the isolation that I really would not have had I been distracted by the day-to-day of just being out in the world and hanging out in the world. It was thanks to this extra free time that I really discovered this for myself. The fourth thing I learned from the social isolation of the pandemic is to rise above mass panic. So with the constant chatter of the news and COVID-19 and new death tolls on TV, my own family's stories of so-and-so who passed away, and I was very sorry for their loss. It can really send a person into panic mode. I mean, even some of my young and healthy friends were like traumatized and driven into hysteria in the first few months of the pandemic. Like, they went on full lockdown, would not go outside to get the mail or walk their dog. I mean, they wouldn't leave the house. So I was trying to keep my head cool and above water by taking precautions, but I wasn't gonna let this get to me. I wasn't gonna let it rule my life. I mean, my husband and I, we followed all the CDC protocols as much as we could. I mean, we even had groceries delivered, but we did occasionally go out to get the mail. He had to go to work. I know that there were a few dinners where we ate with our friends at restaurants in outdoor seating, far from everyone. We always wore a mask whenever we could for every errand, going to the post office, anything, and still, we were the only ones in my family that caught COVID. Some things are just unavoidable, you guys, and it's not your fault and it's not anybody's fault. Don't take it personal. It happens. When it happens, don't panic, okay? Because the first day that I told my parents, or he told his family, we were inundated with just phone calls and emails and text messages and LinkedIn messages offering support, advice. I don't know. It's like almost like everybody already thought we were goners. At least I didn't get a message asking, hey, can I have your stuff when you go? But, you know, if I had paid attention to all that, I would have gone into more panicking. I mean, the first day I went into shock just from like, I did not know how to handle what was happening. Then I learned to focus my attention only on the family that, you know, needed an update of how I'm feeling day to day so they can stay in touch and keep updated. But I threw my blinders on for everything else. We did not watch the news. That was no. No social media, no checking emails. Like, we took a few days off work because if COVID didn't kill us, certainly panicking would. I remember at one point we had a big movie binge marathon from our bedroom, and we just ordered delivery everything for a couple days. I don't even know how long it was. It just felt like the longest week of my life, and it was an almost paid vacation because you know, we got to watch movies from our bedroom, we got to rest and relax, some R&R, we ordered even delivery sushi, okay? So we really did treat ourselves. When we were finally able to keep our eyes open longer than a few hours at a time, we realized our symptoms were decreasing, COVID was going away. Finally, we reached the end of it and we had no more cough, no more nothing. Not even tired anymore. Our energy was back up. So we finally reached the light at the end of the tunnel after like 10 days. We were out of the woods for good. I do attribute the majority of that to the recovery of keeping calm and carrying on. It's true. Like, just, you know, give it the importance it deserves. Take precautions. Take it as a serious illness, but don't panic. Don't panic. And I hope this lesson stays with me in the future, when all hope seems lost because of mass hysteria or whatever it may be. The most important thing is to keep your cool as much as possible. And lastly, the fifth thing I learned from social isolation during the COVID pandemic is I needed to be pickier with my social time, you guys. I understood from socially isolating that the social agenda I kept was just to keep up with my friends on social media. For instance, I didn't want to be the only one not doing shots on ladies' night, and, not doing froyo and brunch mimosas on Sundays. But when I actually would go out and do these things, it just wasn't the best. Like, it was maybe something I could have skipped. I would have been happier staying home, resting maybe from a tough week of work, and my body and my mental health needed rest. Or maybe I just wasn't enjoying the company because I had a very broad group of friends or wasn't very picky. And also there's always like massive eating and drinking, and I felt like I was doing it just to fit in. So thanks to the social isolation, we kept our groups small and our events or outings even smaller. My husband and I barely went out unless we really, really wanted to risk our lives. And we only did it with people that we knew were COVID negative, that they were being very safe and they were getting consistently tested as well. So we actually spent time with people that we technically trusted with our lives. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. So we did a birthday bash with water balloons. We got to do a cookout on 4th of July. We did a kayak adventure at one point. I mean, it was amazing. It was stuff that felt renewing and refreshing and revitalizing. Just like, I just, loved it. It wasn't exhausting. It wasn't draining. It was quality time. It were events that were worth it to us. So that saved us so much energy, time, and not to mention money, because now I was saving so much money on not doing these big nights out and, drinking and eating and all of these activities that at the end of the day just, didn't fill my soul or my mind. It was just emptying my wallet. So we realized we have to be choosy with our time and not just our time, all our resources, time, energy, money, these are all resources that are limited. So why give it away with social groups or events that that you don't even think that you'll enjoy? I'm not saying every outing has to be spectacular, but at least we learned to go out when we were pretty sure that we were gonna have a good time, a really good time. Whereas it was gonna be, a quality experience, whereas before it wasn't about quality, it was about quantity. Like, how many outings can I do in a week before I drop dead from exhaustion? Now it's, which one should I do? Or can I just stay home? And will that be better for me and my health? So yeah, that's the last thing that I learned, and I hope that this video helped you all. These were the 5 things that I learned from the social isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks for watching.